what advice do you have for the folks out there who are dealing with this volatility and haven't been through 3 or 4 cycles of it?
Stick with it. I've been involved in a long time in Bitcoin years. It's like 80 years. In real life, it's 7 or 8 years. But this is going to happen. Don't forget that Thanksgiving-ish is when we crossed the previous all-time high of 20,000. And we're talking about its failure to breach 40,000 to the upside, right? So people are still up 100% since Thanksgiving, to put that in context. This was a big drawdown, though. It's definitely stomach churning for most investors. And that's why you want to take and right-size your portfolio, basically invest as much as you're willing to sort of, deal with this volatility on.
And what about diversity? I understand you tell folks to diversify their portfolios. Bitcoin obviously isn't the only asset, but for folks who want to know, well, where should I go? Doge? I mean, that, I still don't get it.
Yeah, Doge is a universe unto itself, but yeah, Bitcoin dominance is what people look at. It basically means how much of the ecosystem does Bitcoin represent. In the old days, it was 80 and 90%. It's been coming down over time. It was recently in the 60s, but now it's in the 40s, the low 40s. So what that means is the ecosystem is growing around not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but even beyond that. We've involved ourselves in trying to curate and bring new products to market that kind of take a forward look as to what's coming down the pike. But investors should do their homework and take a view, recognize that a system, an ecology is being built out here, and put on, I think, a few calculated bets in the space. In the long term, it's likely that some of those will pay off.
I know it's not just because of Elon Musk, but it is hard to overstate the influence of a single billionaire on this market. What do you think of the power that Elon Musk has on this market, and is it too much?
Yeah, it's amazing, really, to watch what happens every time he tweets something. I think that in the case of Dogecoin, for example, that really is sort of like a cult following type coin. In the case of Bitcoin, I think there's a lot more behind that because this company represents a big investor in Bitcoin. And he's obviously brought the whole climate discussion to the foreground with his recent comments. So these are legitimate issues that need to be talked about and addressed. But yeah, we do live in this world of social media where a few tweets from a few influential people and it starts to move. The other piece of it, though, that investors should understand, especially with regards to Bitcoin and this recent sell-off, is it has been very easy for institutional players to leverage themselves into Bitcoin exposure. And so the unwind, whether it's through DeFi contracts or other types of leverage, the unwinds that we saw, a lot of people are believing that some of those were forced liquidations because of that leverage. So that may have caused oversold conditions that we're now sort of bouncing back from.
Well, of course, Elon Musk has spoken out about the environmental concerns he has about Bitcoin mining. We've just seen Iran ban Bitcoin mining. We've seen China crack down on Bitcoin mining. Do you see a solution to some of these concerns?
Well, I think the solution is to continue to move in the direction of renewable energy. Really, it's not the quantity of energy that's consumed, it's really the type of energy. And we all know fossil fuels and their emissions are really the bad guy and what we're trying to get away from. I think there was a Cambridge study that said 76% of Bitcoin miners are using some form of renewable energy, and the estimates are around 40% of that energy overall that goes into mining Bitcoin does come from renewables. I think, frankly, moving mining out of China might help that situation because coal mining and coal burning is one of the big culprits there. So I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. It's probably good.
Interesting. Now, of course, there have been reports that Coinbase is in talks to buy Osprey, your company. Any update you can give us on that?
We are involved in what's a huge landscape, the cryptocurrency world, but it's also a small world. I think all the participants in the industry keep in touch with each other. We wouldn't comment on rumors, but the space is growing fast. Coinbase is obviously a fabulously successful company, and I'm sure they have lots of broad ambitions, as do we.
Well, and this would be a way for them to break into the asset management business, which is your business. We've had guests on the show. I haven't said this, but guests have indicated that Coinbase could be the next AOL. I'm curious what you think about that. Is the future of crypto DeFi? And if so, what is the future of Coinbase?
Well, crypto is much broader than DeFi. I think what, I combat this all the time is using the word crypto to encapsulate a whole ecosystem of technology, which is really what's happening. And there are so many applications, DeFi being one of them. But I think the world is moving towards decentralized forms of technology and systems rather than centralized forms of systems. Obviously, Coinbase is one of the lead players at the forefront. It's probably too early to call how that will develop. And there are a lot of other players as well. So we're just excited to be a part of the growth and a part that is hopefully helping investors to navigate and get some assets into their portfolio that can help them with their goals.
So look, we're still waiting for U.S. regulators to take a stand on crypto or a steer to take a direction, right? And I'm curious what your biggest concerns are about potential regulation, given how uncertain that is.
Well, in our business, the real kind of where the rubber meets the road is the argument around each cryptocurrency and whether or not it's a security. I think that the SEC is obviously very aware of that issue, and it remains to be seen what Gary Gensler's administration will do about it. I'm pretty convinced they'll do something, and we are supportive of that. The industry needs some clarity. I think that crypto evolves in Bitcoin time, and it's hard for regulators to keep up. But hopefully we get some clarity over the next year, and things can move forward.